I'm messing with Siri today. I thought, well, I'll just say some random gibberish at it. Siri, hallo shi amuha na aleo muka.
Messing with Siri.
Hey, Alexa.
Hi, I'm Siri. I think you've got the wrong assistant.
Imagine if that dot has achieved sentience, and then it has to spend all day hovering and listening to you lot chattering away. I'm not being rude, but I think it's learned to hate you.
All right, we are live.
Welcome, Alexa, Siri, Cortana, and Hal, to episode 514 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 1st of June, 2024, and featuring Dot and Bubble, written by Russell T. Davies, and starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. Although I suppose it's actually starring Lindy, but I didn't pull up her actor name and didn't occur to me that she's the star until just this second. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and with me are co-host Alex Fireheart.
Happy Pride Month.
Technical director Mad Matt Winchell.
179.
And co-technical director Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello, how's it going?
How's everybody's week?
179 is how much I need for 1K subscribers. Honestly, ever since I started reacting to paranormal stuff, it's really taken off over there.
Oh, nice.
Random videos that can easily reach like 300 or 400 in views.
It's always nice when people are viewing things.
Right. When you find that niche.
Which we're trying to build the podcast up to, and yeah, I've got a little channel update to discuss that later on.
Hit that niche.
Which we're trying to build the podcast. Other news this week: new Eminem, which has everybody, a lot of new attention. It's just a radio single, but it's a herald of hopefully good things to come for the new album.
I know a lot of people are excited about that at work.
I haven't heard a peep. This is the first time hearing of this. What?
Eminem has a new song out.
His new single dropped yesterday. It's basically, the point is a fusion of 2002 Slim Shady and modern Eminem style.
It's the death of Slim Shady, basically, is what I heard.
Well, that's the album, not the song.
Okay.
But there's a lot of references to the Eminem Show, which of course was the album that came out in 2002.
Okay. Honestly, I haven't really followed him since like after 8 Mile. He seemed to kind of run out of things to really say. Other than I've also heard that he's picked little minor beefs with people here and there, but that's about it.
I mean, I feel like it is kind of funny that he's still going, because when he was younger, he had the attitude of like, I'm not gonna still be doing this when I'm 40. Who the hell still raps when they're over 40?
I was gonna say, yeah, and that is largely to do with the fact that hip hop just turned 50, so nobody had been rapping for 40 years at that point. Also, the fact that most of the biggest names in rap ended up being shot. So
at that point, yeah.
If anything, he would have expected to be shot before turning 50. But yeah, now
Although he definitely made jokes about like, even when he hit 30, it would have made him old by rap standards.
And I mean, and that's also that's how young people think, right?
That bit too, I suppose.
Whereas now I feel like I have more in common with 50-year-olds than with 20-year-olds. So
People still think I'm in my 20s. I'm like, you sweet summer child. 20s were 20 years ago for me, almost. Got like half a year to go. I guess other than that, chaos as usual at work. We're going to be moving on the 17th. Or at least the big move is going to be on the 17th.
Okay.
I'll keep you all posted if I know for sure ahead of time when I will or won't be able to make it. Or I should say when I won't be able to make it. I'll let you know ahead of time.
I could imagine, even though that's in between podcasts, that may still affect the 1-2 weeks from now, because moving takes preparation.
Yeah.
It really does depend, and yeah, there's quite a bit I need to still try and get through and try and pack away here. So that'll be my next 2 days after tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll get more boxes going.
I don't have too much going on. I'm just trying to get stuff done around the apartment and get things decluttered. There's a lot of just a lot of stuff I've had hanging out at the apartment here that really needs to be gotten rid of. Highfalutin time. If anyone's interested in some old manga and stuff, I have some. Otherwise, I'm probably going to be taking it to Frugal Muse here in a few days.
Oh, yeah, that'd be one of the good ones to take it to.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to say Half Price Books, but Frugal Mills is another one that's local over there. That's a good one to drop it to.
Half Price gives you cents, and Frugal Muse gives you a couple of dollars at least from.
My interest in such things extends as far as receiving, but not as far as paying for shipping.
Yeah.
So, as in, I straight up cannot pay for any luxuries like that until mid-August.
And these are kind of niche ones.
And I figure after the move, I can at least come over and some point and pick up the books I said I'd really be willing to grab.
Yeah, there's.
I forgot to check if there's an Amtrak straight from me to you. There might be.
Oh yeah, because I thought that they were planning a new Amtrak line around here.
I don't know. I never really dealt with Amtrak before I moved out here, so it's all kind of new to me.
I know there's a bus from Chicago up to Milwaukee, and then you can catch from Milwaukee over to Madison, like the Badger bus. Yeah, it's kind of not the greatest way of going.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, I know going up north, I had a 5-hour layover in Milwaukee from Madison to Milwaukee and then up to Manitowoc. To get up to, or Sheboygan. To get up to Sheboygan, it was a 5-hour layover because we had to wait for the Chicago bus in Milwaukee.
Gotcha.
So it would take like 8 hours for what would normally take like a 2.5-hour trip by car.
You could literally take a break during that trip and get there sooner.
Yep. But, yep, not much going on with me. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say, shoot, Geek Talk, I went and saw Furiosa last weekend, too.
Oh, well, that's going to mean that the person doing tech needs to add to the list of title cards. But that's you, so.
You're the ones with the tech windows open tonight.
Oh, shoot, yeah, that's right. I have to open up Windows for all that stuff. Oops. Let me see here. Hang on, let me get that ready to go.
Hold on. Wait for it. Just a minute.
Yep.
What studio produced that? See, it's distributed by Warner Bros.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume Warner Brothers. Who directed it?
George Miller.
It was Miller? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there's some smaller studios that's like Miller's Personal and so forth. Warner Bros. Is the only big one. Well, unless Domain Entertainment is big in, I think these are filmed in Oz.
Yeah.
But
Unless Domain
yeah,
happens
I
to be
wouldn't
big in
know.
Australia, but yeah. Honestly, I've heard a lot of. I've heard a lot of meh, but it might just be what I bumped into and not the rule.
So you realize that means that once we get to Geek Talk, Aaron will have 5 pieces to talk about in a row.
Wait,
before we get to the
I'll
review.
have 5. Wait, what?
You have 3 Geek Talks, a review of Shame, and a summary, all back to back.
Oh shoot! Yeah, I forgot I was doing a summary.
But miracle of miracles, you are not the first person in the pecking order this week. somehow the pattern did not sustain.
Oh, so I don't have to read the news then, huh?
Well, I meant in normally
the review
for whatever reason when somebody has a bunch of Geek Talk and then a summary, they always get rolled first as the first person who has to give their thoughts. But that did not happen today.
Nah.
You actually are third on the list of 4.
Oh wow. Well, and I like the addition that you put on the end of the bump of the introduction there. I didn't catch that. The hell. I saw Alexa, Siri.
Yep, that was the last thing I added in.
Cool.
We've gone over 10 minutes, so for the sake of time, Alex, any update before we go on to tonight's show?
Pretty much just that the Star Wars: The Old Republic thing finally got sorted, so now I'm gonna have to figure out if I'm just gonna like remake all my characters on the new account or like just start over from scratch. With new
I'd be interested in finding out how much has changed since I played.
Probably a lot. Like there's a lot of layout changes and stuff that have happened.
Alrighty then. On tonight's show, we have channel update. We have our birthdays and news. Very little bit of news. Then we have some Geek Talk. 1 review of Shame. Our episode summary, review, final thoughts, and ratings. And then wrapping up with our predictions for the rest of the season. So starting with the channel update. We have I've been working on this podcast literally every day since I think 80% of days or 90% of days since getting back from my trip. We have been doing our big push at shorts for the first time, and they've been relatively successful. Ironically, today's bump has been our least successful short since the season of Doctor Who started. So that might mean that people just like shorts with us in them better rather than ones that are just footage. But yeah, I thought that was a little surprising. But yeah, so now's the time to make clips of podcasts to tell me what to make into shorts or comment on things. So we know your thoughts and we can push visibility because it's all about the algorithm. We are controlled by the dot after all. So
do we
let
have
us
a
advertise
TikTok?
to you. Let us advertise to you like shameless whores. Show us what you want.
At one point, I tried to do a TikTok like live blogging Classic Who or something, and I quickly realized I do not have the time or the energy for a TikTok.
Because you can cross-post our shorts and our clips up on TikTok too. In fact,
it would absolutely need to not be me for a TikTok to, otherwise it will be abandoned in about 2 weeks.
Because I think Klilix has told me that you can, one of the other streamers that I stream with, has told me that if you go, and I haven't tried it yet, but you go to export a clip, it acts kind of similar to how you're exporting a highlight, but instead it asks you if you want to export it as a YouTube clip and or a TikTok.
Okay.
So you can.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying if we have clips in Twitch, we can export them that way.
Yep.
Okay.
It makes
So that's
it
more
easier.
motive. So if enough people make clips, then there might be value in making a TikTok.
Which would be probably clipping our individual reviews of the stuff, especially if something's really funny.
How long can a TikTok be? Because I know a short can only be up to 1
They
minute.
can be longer these days, I think.
Okay.
I forget exactly how long, but they can be.
I've learned that a short can be 1 minute. A Facebook reel can be 90 seconds.
Oh yeah, we can like post them to Facebook Reels and stuff. Wow, there's all kinds of stuff we can do.
I've been doing that as well. So now's the time to share the Facebook link. This span of 2 months is the active period for promoting the hell out of things.
So here is, I'll bring up our Facebook right here, if anyone is interested in that. Yes, here's we have a Facebook page that you can go ahead and join if you want to. All kinds of updates and everything. It had been dormant for a little bit too, but
He's a little dusting off, a little spick and span, a little spit shine.
Mostly it's just being used to post our shorts and to bring attention to our podcasts. If anybody wants to make more like, copy style, like, have a chat under this post, you're free to. I'm at my limit of what I can personally do.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say there's no videos in here if you're posting videos.
I'm posting them as reels. I don't know where they show up.
We can also throw them on here as videos too. There's so much stuff we could do, and we shall do.
Yeah, there's so much that we can do, and so much finite energy a single person has. I'm working on I'm submitting my thesis in a week.
Oh, geez.
I technically should not be putting as much attention to this podcast as I have been.
Well,
I cannot extend myself further than what I'm already doing.
I'll volunteer to upload any videos that you give me to upload, like including our openings and stuff.
Okay.
Our bumps, if you have separate bumps that you want to upload and stuff like that, so
yeah, we can definitely talk about that off stream.
I don't know why, but I actually raised my hand there.
You can't see this, but I just raised my hand.
All right, so let's move on to birthdays with Alex.
Yep. So, starting on the 26th of May, we have Peter Cushing, who played Doctor Who in the Arrow movies, but better known as Van Helsing, Victor Frankenstein, Grand Moff Tarkin, etc., etc., etc. Would be here all day. Would have been 111, died in 1994 at the age of 81. On the 29th of May, we have Pearl Mackie, who played Bill Potts in Series 10, turned 37. On the 30th of May, we have Mark Shepard, played Canton Delaware in The Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon, better known as Crowley in Supernatural, turned 60. Also on the 30th, we have Tracy Childs, who played Metella in The Fires of Pompeii, and the Big Finish 7th Doctor Companion and Unit Scientific Advisor Liz Klein, turned 61. On the 31st of May, we have Claudia Grant, who played Carol Ann Ford in An Adventure in Space and Time, and Susan in Big Finish's The First Doctor Adventures Volumes 1 through 5, turned 39. And also on the 31st, we have Reggie Yates, who played Leo Jones in Series 2. And finally, on the 1st of June, we have Jonathan Pryce, who played the Master in The Curse of Fatal Death, Governor Swan in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, at least the first 3, and was a Bond villain, turned 77. So happy birthday to Peter, Pearl, Mark, Tracy, Claudia, and Reggie and Jonathan.
Cool.
All right, we move from there to the ratings update. So in the overnight ratings, 73 Yards has 2.62 million overnight views. Keep forgetting that technically overnight hasn't happened yet for Dot and Bubble because of the way they calculate it. So 73 Yards is up 0.58 million from Boom. In the 7-day figures, Boom has a total of 3.58 million views in the first week, which is down 0.33 million from The Devil's Cord and down 0.36 million from Space Babies. This makes Doctor Who the 18th most viewed program of the week. I would report what number that is for the day, but for some reason the Barb is reporting Doctor Who as a Friday release, which just makes me suspicious of the whole list, and I don't necessarily trust that things are airing on the days that they claim are they're airing. Also, the appreciation index has not been reported anywhere for any episodes, but I can't find any record of why. Even so, on the screen now is Doctor Who TV. They used to have a column for the AI, and they just completely removed that column. So I don't know what's going on with AI, but that kind of AI, appreciation index, but that number does not seem to be available anymore.
I almost wonder if it's the fact that it's going to streaming first now is somehow affecting how they handle it.
It's a little disappointing just because it's a better indicator of how an episode was generally received than the actual ratings are, because so many things affect ratings, like, streaming availability and, what else was on TV that week, and, how many channels does somebody with digital cable in the UK have access to?
And the thing is,
And,
they still list audience appreciation index as a score in like the bullet points here too.
Oh, there's a bullet point explaining it, but it's not listing it for the episode. Yeah, they didn't change their template; they just removed the column. So, all right. But yeah, so that's all we have for the ratings. We move on to the cast list for Rogue. As usual, this starts off with a brief synopsis, and then I'll just go through the the characters unless we recognize the actors. So the Doctor and Lady Ruby Sunday of the Notting Hill Estate crashed the Duchess of Pemberton's ball in 1813 Bath. I don't know what that means. The ball is the highlight of the season, where the cream of Regency society gather to dance, gossip, and flirt. The Doctor and Ruby are having a wonderful time dancing and mingling, but not everyone who's who they seem to be. There's a desiccated corpse in the shrubbery. Above the crowd, the Doctor spots a mysterious bounty hunter called Rogue, who is about to change the Doctor's life forever. Interesting. And we have Rogue, played by Jonathan Groff. Duchess of Pemberton, played by Indira Varma, is that Susie Costello? I recognize the name. I feel like it is.
If it's who you mean, then yeah, she was in Torchwood.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like we had her birthday not too long ago. There's Lord Barton, Emily Beckett, Carla, of course, Lord Gelpin, The Portrait. So this might be Dorian Gray related. If it's but The Portrait is Susan Twist. So there's a housekeeper, butler, a Miss Talbot, and a Mr. Price. I don't know if any of these are real. We might do a historical fact check. If they're all just made up, then we won't.
I was about to say, if it's trying to be Mr. Vincent Price, there's going to be a lot of demand for.
I don't
keeping
think
up
Vincent
the
Price
face.
is that old.
You never know.
unless that's the unless that's the twist of the episode. Yeah, Vincent Price. This would be 100 years before the real Vincent Price is born. So, all right.
Vincent Price is secretly an immortal. You'd never know.
Okay.
Some of the photos here.
Yeah, these are from trailers. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it might be from the next episode trailer. Although some of it I don't think is. This I think is the episode where there's the scene of the Doctor in a space station looking at past faces of himself. Actually, it has to be because after that is the finale. So, Rogue is probably. I mean, there's clearly some sort of alien presence involved. So, imagine Doctor Who just doing a historical with no aliens.
Oh yeah, because we have the bird woman here.
Right.
Which I thought was a Silurian at first, but not quite. No.
And there's in the next time thing there was an owl man, not to be confused with the other owl man.
So, I mean, birds are the last surviving descendants of dinosaurs. Imagine if these bird people are the descendants of Silurians. Probably not going to happen, but maybe.
That would be kind of funny.
All right, our final piece of news is Big Finish news. On the 29th of May, they released the 9th Doctor Adventure Star-Crossed, which is officially the last 9th Doctor Adventures, at least for now, on the current contract. Written by John Dorney, Lizzie Hopley, and Tim Foley, starring Christopher Eccleston and Alex Kingston. So I'm not sure if Nine and River had met before, but they definitely will now. And that is the end of our news. We turn it over to Aaron with X-Men 97. Although I'm not sure if it's technically a season 1 or if it's just a full thing.
I think this is the full season 1.
Okay.
Well, I'll be discussing the full season. So we do have.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't been watching. I don't know. Is it a season 1 or is it literally that's the whole show?
Oh no, it's that's right. It's a continuation of the original '90s X-Men.
But they're not. It's not the same show. It's just yeah. It's a continuation in spirit, but it's the art, actors, and everything are all different.
No, the actors are all the same.
As many
Except
of them
for
as
one person,
around.
I think they.
I all I knew was that the only ones I saw people talking about were ones that were different. That's all I know.
I think except for Cyclops and I think one other person, I can't remember. But I believe Wolverine is the same. I think maybe Jean Grey is different. But yeah.
But I was just more saying in terms of, do we label this a season 1 or is the show done completely now?
Oh no, there's going to be a season 2.
Okay,
there's supposed to be, I think, 3 seasons or so.
There's going to be a next X-Men 98.
All right, so
and with that, I'm officially starting the stopwatch.
The stopwatch. Okay. Anyway. So we're talking about X-Men 97, right? I'm all confused now.
Yes. Go.
All right. So yeah, X-Men 97 was pretty awesome. I don't want to give away too much, but I think I'm going to wind up having to. A lot of returning actors. Basically, it picks up right where the old series left off. Professor Xavier's dead, and guess who is taking over the X-Men? Bum bum bum. Anyway, a lot of revelations. Rogue may not be just interested in Gambit. X-Men losing their powers. The Sentinels return in greater force, leading to one of the classic villains showing up. There's so much shit going on in this show. geez, the X-Men split, of course. Some follow Magneto and some follow Professor Xavier is not dead. God, there's so many spoilers. I'm gonna wind up spoiling a lot of this for you guys, so I apologize. But definitely check it out. I liked Morph. Morph was fun. Kind of some homoeroticism going on with Wolverine too, it feels. Which is kind of interesting. I thought that was interesting. Wolverine was pretty good. Didn't override the show. It's very much a Cyclops Jean Grey show. With a bit of Storm's story on the side, as well as we get a thorough discussion of Nathan, where Nathan came from, or Cable, where he came from. Madeline Pryor shows up, of course. So we get a whole Goblin Queen episode. Like I said, Rogue, her heart is split between two men. She's got Gambit, and guess what? She's also previously had an affair with Magneto, who is, of course, in charge of the X-Men now. Via a will from Charles Xavier, a statement from Charles saying he should be in charge, so. And then, of course, Bastion shows up, infects the human race with his, virus, his Sentinel virus, and so everybody starts becoming Sentinels and taking over the place and ruining everything, and it's apocalyptic, basically. Just as the X-Men were getting on the UN's good side and starting up Genosha. Genosha was about ready to enter the UN, and then the Sentinels under Bastion attack, destroy Genosha, and yeah, it's all just a shit show after that. They defeat Bastion, but there may be an even greater threat coming on, and with the hint of Onslaught. So we may be seeing Onslaught next season. So that's it. All the spoilers here. Now you never have to watch the show. Although you should. You should definitely watch the show. Excellent, very good animation. Also calling back to the janginess of the Saturday morning cartoon. Great storylines, great drama. Still gripping as ever, and definitely makes up for the final season of the original show. That's it. Done.
All right. Next is Bad Batch Season 2.
All right, prepare for spoilers on Bad Batch Season 2. All right, we have a lot of... I felt a lot of call-outs or shout-outs to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They go to Kashyyyk, where they meet up with these spider-like creatures. I'm like, no, don't go into the spider webs. It's a terrible thing, because the spiders in Fallen Order suck very badly, and this takes place around the same time. So a lot of callouts to that, kind of pseudo missions that they go on. This is much more episodic, I felt, than the first season. A lot more, doing kind of jobs on the side. Omega is a little bit older. I think this takes place maybe about a year or two after the events of season 1. She's not super old though. She hasn't aged out of everything. Yeah.
It's at minimum a few months.
Yeah, it's at minimum, it's a few months at least, but you can tell that she's definitely, her legs are longer and that she's a little bit taller. And she's been training too, so she's a lot more effective in combat. Her tactics are very good. We start to see that she's also very smart for a clone, for a child. So yeah, like I said, very episodic, but also I enjoyed it quite a bit. We're getting to see a little bit more. It's been a while since I finished season 2, so there's hints at maybe they're hoping to bring Crosshair over to their side eventually. And then there's also the doctor, I can't remember his name, Dr. Hemlock. We see more of him. He is doing experiments. There's a Xylo beast that they encounter. There's and secret laboratories. There's something going on, and the Empire is running experiments on clones and stuff. So, and we also find out there's a safe haven called Pabu. It's an island out in the middle of this oceanic kind of world that's, like I said, it's their safe haven. Tech gets kind of a girlfriend in Fee. I think they kind of cement their little understanding, not their relationship, but understanding. So yeah. I think I liked it more than the first season. It didn't kind of stumble around like the first season did. And it was a little bit darker, but also a little bit more fun. Also, what's his face leaves too. I can't remember the guy with the arm. Bill, do you remember?
Guy with the arm.
My brain is just like fried. Echo. He actually leaves the team. He actually leaves the team because he's not technically part of the Bad Batch. Yeah, he's temporarily leaves the team, but he also comes and goes. He's not really on any missions permanently with them.
He joins the rebellion for
Yeah.
the fledgling rebellion.
Oh yeah, and we also, I believe, in this season we start seeing more clones kind of question whether the Empire is going to take care of them. There's the recruitment bill that's being passed for recruiting stormtroopers instead of cloning them or using clones because they're afraid the clones won't be loyal, and they're right. The clones are questioning what the Empire is doing. So the goal now is to rescue clones from being assassinated, rebel clones, I should say, from being assassinated. Cody also starts to question himself and joins the rebellion. Rex is there. A lot of other stuff. Hauser, I believe. I thought they threw Hauser off of a dam, but I think he comes back alive again. So, or he shows up again. Might be a different clone though. All right. I think that's it for season 2 of Bad Batch.
I do find it interesting. You mentioned it. I forget the exact phrasing you used, but you meant like that it didn't like look around and it knew what it was doing. Because one of the comments I made when I talked about it on here about season 2 on here was that it felt kind of derivative, that the structure of every story used the same plot beats that we had seen in the past, and it was a little less creative, a little less experimental in that way.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. It's very much, clones get stuck in a sticky situation. How are they going to get out of this? Kind of mostly because they're running missions for what's her face. God, I can't even remember her name. Sorry, my brain is just dying here.
I'm saying it seems like you're trying to put 20 minutes worth of words into 5 minutes, and
yeah, it's
that's not good on, you might be losing brain cells from lack of oxygen.
Yeah. It's Clem
on that note,
yeah.
deep breath before Furiosa.
Okay. All right. So Furiosa. All the story beats for Furiosa. Basically, we see her. There's this Greenland, forested area that is still lush and pure, and has plenty of food and water and everything. Furiosa is one of the children in an orchard, kind of picking fruits and stuff like that. Finds that some bandits have slaughtered one of their horses and are about ready to carry it off. They capture Furiosa as she tries to slice their brake lines. Furiosa's mother gives chase after them in a badass way. Um, but ultimately fails. Furiosa winds up being taken by I think this Sterdo or something like that. One of the Chris Hemsworth, his character, takes her, adopts her, does terrible things to the people around him in front of her. She becomes desensitized to violence. She eventually escapes him, joins Immortan Joe, joins Immortan Joe's crew after seeing Chris Hemsworth fail against Immortan Joe. She gives them the hint that Bullet Farm is under attack or is being controlled by. That might be later. Jeez, man. See, my brain is still dying from all of this. Yeah. Anyway, she joins up with Immortan Joe as a wife.
There's a lot of spoilers.
There's a lot of spoilers. She joins up as a wife for Martin Joe, escapes that, winds up working on one of the war rigs as posing herself as a boy. Joins the war rig crew as they set out to go get gas. The war rig is not captured, but like it's attacked and everything. So they fend it off. She meets Jack, one of the drivers, falls in love with Jack, plots with him to escape Immortan Joe, and also take out Chris Hemsworth. Does so through like a whole kind of convoluted thing with Gastown, Bullet Farm, and the Citadel, kind of at a big war pit against each other. Chris Hemsworth finds out about her treachery and kills her lover, Jack, and then she winds up losing her arm, of course. She cuts it off to escape. Limps back to Immortan Joe, tells Joe about what's happening, starts a war between everybody. And then during the war, she's able to sneak off and get revenge on Chris Hemsworth's character. So very, very badass, very plot heavy. Lots of references to the video game and the comics. If you've read any of the comics, you'll surely enjoy this movie. Lots of lore, very plot heavy compared to your usual Mad Max movie, but still not skimping on the crazy stunts and action that you see in them. So, yeah, go see it. Recommend it.
I saw some quotes about Mad Max not having a stable timeline after this came out, which makes me ask, does this contradict Fury Road or the other movies in some way? Like, is there a reason why people are talking about the timeline in that way?
Jack is very similar to Mad Max. Like, he carries a shotgun. He has like the armor on his sleeve. Like, you see the leather armor, and he dresses very similarly to Mad Max. And he has the cut in his lip, like Tom Hardy's Mad Max has. And the war rig looks very similar because there's two war rigs in this movie. You have the shiny brand new one that gets smashed, and then you have the rickety old one that she drives off in at the end of this movie, which is the war rig from Fury Road. So there's a lot of, and Mad Max does show up in this movie. He's kind of in his road warrior outfit, kind of overlooking her, and it's kind of assumed that he kind of rescues her, and I think brings her back to the Citadel after she escapes Chris Hemsworth and loses her arm and everything. He's able to like bring her over to the Citadel, but you know, she looks just different enough that he may not recognize her, like in Fury Road.
Yeah, that brings up a lot of questions. Actually, that brings up a lot of questions instantly still, because you'd think you'd recognize a person that lost their arm.
Well, how many people lose their arm in the wasteland, though?
Not that many that survive.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he has no idea who she is, I don't think. So, or maybe he does. So, I don't know. I'd
have to watch it for myself and judge.
Yeah, I'd have to see the arguments for the timeline discrepancies. All I can think of is that people are confusing Jack's character for Max's. So, and that might be what they're thinking of. And also, Anya Taylor-Joy was originally supposed to be Furiosa in Fury Road, and they went with Charlize Theron instead. So this person, the woman who plays Furiosa here, was supposed to originally play Furiosa throughout Fury Road. So, yeah, it's gritty. It's interesting. Chris Hemsworth's character is way over the top, though, so that might be annoying for some people. He's really kind of a clown almost. He's kind of the Joker, but not as clever. And he's really just kind of a fool, and he starts out with this huge warband, and he just screws up. He makes terrible decisions and winds up with just 3 people following him in the end.
Yeah, it really depends on how they play it.
So, sorry for all the spoilers, everyone. I cannot talk without talking about spoilers, and if it's ruined, just...
Apparently.
And if it's if any of these is
I thought we had an unwritten rule that we try to do spoiler free, but she did preface right ahead.
We try to keep them to a minimum.
Yeah, I try to keep them to a minimum, but like honestly, if it's ruined by people talking about spoilers, then it wasn't good to begin with.
On to 73 yards.
Alright, let me bring up the title card for that. Boing! Alright, and I'll bring up my notes for that. I have 73 steps down, I don't know why. There we go. 73 yards. Alright, what I liked about the episode?
Yep.
Right? Okay, so I enjoyed the themes of abandonment and loneliness, with the Doctor and Ruby's mom, with the Doctor, and then Ruby's mom, and then Unit eventually leaving her kind of almost in a hopeless situation, but she still finds a way to make herself useful. Because she remembers, that about Mad Jack being this terrible person that should really be stopped, and she manages to stop him and everything. So, and in a way, she also kind of abandons the girl who winds up with Mad Jack. Like, she could have warned her about Mad Jack, but she didn't, and so I don't know, that's kind of another form of abandonment there, I guess. Like, Ruby could have saved her. And she does apologize for it in the end too. So, which is kind of interesting. She's kind of breaking the cycle of bad behavior there.
Sorry I didn't help you, but you weren't important.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, I just threw you to the wolves there. So, disliked about the episode. I have a couple where the mystery was very obvious about who the old woman was. I knew exactly what was going on, kind of. Like, the only other person I could think of it being was, like, Twist. Standing off in the background, so... But... because we hear her, laughing and everything. And also, I don't know if we ever got an answer to who wrote the note about Mad Jack.
Nope.
No, it was a fairy ring. Fairies did it, or just people trying to do things for fairies or whatever.
I'm going to guess that maybe Twist did it. Susan Twist is her name, is the name of the actress. So, I'm going to guess that maybe she's the one that left that as kind of a bit of mischief. My favorite scene... I have two favorite scenes, I guess. My favorite one is Kate Stewart failing to help Ruby, and also the comment that she made, former companion, that, we've helped former companions of the Doctor, that hammers home a finality to it, like, oh, the Doctor isn't coming for you. And it's kind of the last chance for Ruby to recover her former life. And the other favorite scene was the defeat of Mad Jack. It's just like, it's so simple and elegant. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll just keep moving this way. Least favorite scene... I don't know, I kind of feel like Ruby's mom should have been able to relate to Ruby who this old woman was and why she was running away and why people were just crazy. I don't know, like, I don't know why... I understand other people running away and stuff in terror because they're not familiar with Ruby, but I would think that her mom would recognize her and just be like, honey, I wish I could help you, but this is a time loop, and if I do, you're going to destroy the universe via a paradox. Or she could just shut out time paradox or something, or she's you or something. Maybe she couldn't, Maybe if she did tell Ruby, then the time paradox would be complete and the universe would be destroyed. That's the only way I could think of it, but, like, would Ruby's mom really know that? Does she think about time paradoxes a lot that she wouldn't tell Ruby? I don't know. It just didn't come off as very right. Overall, I enjoyed it because they let the mystery kind of drag on long enough that it made me kind of question whether or not I had guessed right, and in the end I had.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, and I like just the hopelessness that you feel and the feeling of abandonment. Like, there's nothing left here. Like, we might as well just carry on with your life. Just that kind of sadness. So I'm gonna... Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4.5.
4.5. So that is by a full point the highest rating any of us have given it. That increases the rating from a 2.83 to a 3.25. Which means it is now number 367. It is on par with Fear Her and The Visitation. It is not as good as Planet of the Daleks, In the Forest of the Night, Modern Undead, The Massacre, or Ascension of the Cybermen, The Timeless Children. I forget whichever was correct. It is better than The Daleks' Master Plan, The Highlanders, Stones of Blood, Time Lash, Planet of the Giants, and The Underwater Menace.
Wait, this was better than Time Lash?
It is now.
Take that
Aaron.
back.
Matt actually reaches in and starts like changing the rating.
Yeah, we were not
practically
fans.
lowering Aaron's review by half a point.
We were not fans of this episode when we discussed it last week. So I encourage
I
you
was
to
not happy.
I encourage you to maybe listen to and maybe reply even in the comments to our review from last week and what you thought.
All right, I'm gonna try clipping my little review if I can even fit it into an entire clip.
All right, well, I guess I should officially time you for the summary. So let me know when you are ready for a count.
All right, I'm just gonna publish this quick. And now I have to remember what this last episode is after my brain has just burnt out completely from all the other things that I've had to do. Oh god.
Killer slugs.
Yeah, I know, basically killer slugs. I'm going to wind up forgetting a lot of stuff here, so I don't know. Okay, we can
Broad
start.
strokes is all you need.
Are we ready?
All right, you ready for countdown?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so Lindy is waking up from bed, activates her dot bubble, and immediately starts perusing her social media. Is congratulated and thanked and praised by all of her friends. It's all very upbeat and very happy. She is talking about her dress as she walks on her way to work, guided by some arrows through the bubble. While she's at work, she is confronted by the doctor, who she immediately blocks, and later she is greeted by Ruby, who she doesn't quite block, but manages to listen to her long enough that Ruby and the doctor talk her into looking around her and seeing if any of her coworkers are around her. Of course, they are not. But there is next to her, where her coworker had been, a slug shoving her coworker's body into its maw. She drops her bubble just long enough to witness this act. She tries to escape, or after some cajoling, the doctor and Ruby try to convince her to escape without wearing the bubble. However, she cannot walk without the bubble, so she puts it back on her head, walks out. But any slug she encounters, any of these monstrous slugs she encounters, don't eat her right away. So they are menacing, though. She manages to use the bubble to get out safely and avoid them onto the sidewalk, and tells it to find a hiding place for her, which it does. She contacts in a group chat all of her friends. Of course, was it Gothic Dan or something like that? Gothic Paul has been warning people for a while now that their friends are disappearing, until eventually he is actually seen being eaten by one of the slugs, which freaks out everybody. The doctor and Ruby interrupt the call. Liddy manages to mute everybody, and the doctor and Ruby talk about getting to the underground caverns where the river used to flow. and getting out through that way, getting out of the city, because the city itself is inside a bubble, so there's not really much of escape. Lindy's bubble runs out of, or dot runs out of battery. She manages to kind of stumble through a alley. She to the mouth of an alley, which is surrounded by slugs, that leads to the gateway that she needs to use to get out of the city. The pop star Ricky September helps guide her through through the alleyway full of slugs. They make it to a center where they try to contact Homeworld. I think Lindy at that point is recharging her dot. Ricky, however, finds out that Homeworld has been obliterated by these slugs and are not coming to save the day. They make their way down to the subterranean levels, to the vaults that need to be opened via a key and a keypad and a series of numbers that repeat every few seconds or so and have to be typed in. While doing this, they are attacked by by Lindy's own dot after she realizes that the dot itself is a living AI that has become just incredibly sickened by the state of humanity and the egotism and narcissism of everybody. So it has decided, the AI that controls all these dots has decided to kill them all. Has decided to kill all of humanity via alphabetical order, which is why Lindy was not killed right away, because like her name was lower on the list, I guess. However, she manages to convince the dot that Ricky September's real name actually begins with a C, and is therefore higher than her on the list of people to be killed. The dot attacks Ricky, and he is able to she is able to enter the numbers in, or she swaps places with them. She keeps entering the numbers. He defends off the dot, and then she reveals to the dot his last name comes before her. He is like in shock. The dot kills him, but she manages to slip through before the dot can finish her off. She makes it down to the safe zone with the doctor and Ruby, where she sees everybody packing up and getting ready to leave for the outside world. One of the guys apparently seems to be experienced with the outside world, or seems to be an outdoors person. The doctor invites Lindy and everybody to come aboard the TARDIS, where he could take them to a safe planet. Lindy and everybody refuses, sees him as an outsider, and it's heavily implied that they will not, be traveling with a black man. Yeah, so, which was like the big twist at the end. So sorry, spoiler alert. And the end, the doctor, enraged at this failing of humanity, watches as their boat sails off down the river to very obvious oblivion, because none of these people know how to live out in the wilderness. And the end. Very sad end.
All right. Let's see. So from when you started talking, I have 5 minutes and 42.3 seconds.
Yay! I made it. I didn't faint.
So, I was gonna say you didn't quite make the 5-minute challenge, but no, you did not lose consciousness. So there's something to be said for that as well. One correction: I'm pretty sure we're meant to understand that these are not humanity. It appears that they have green blood.
That's
true.
right. Fuses season.
All right, so on to our review. Starting with what we like, with the pecking order starts with Matt.
General thing I liked overall. Honestly, I like the commentary on social media and how people have the blinders on all the time. Very, very literal on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who has to be in their phone in order to like clock in and clock out of work, etc., I've seen so many people very blindly walking into a big group of traffic, going, please just let me in, please just let me in. Like every day because our program for clocking in and out is a piece of trash. Matter of fact, it's such a piece of junk. Literally yesterday, we had to sign in and out on a piece of paper for like several hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, fantastic work. 10 out of 10. Who decided this program again? Not going to name names on that program, but yeesh. For something that's apparently used by a lot of companies, I don't know how they survive.
This didn't turn out to be true, but that was part of my original theory as I was watching this. Was I thought maybe the slugs had created the social media platform as a way to like make the people into easier prey.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Because they wouldn't be able to see what was going on and would just be so easy to pick off the street.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really curious if there's any muggers in the chat on their burner accounts. You know, has the advent of social media made it easier to, rob people, or at least pickpocket?
Well, we have
I
heard
imagine
this.
it may have.
We've heard that it's easier to attack people when they're on their phones, and that people on their phones are being targeted.
Ah, okay. So that I was
Honestly,
not
yeah,
quite
you're
aware of.
just very distracted if you're really focused on your phone, so it's probably easier for pickpockets at least.
All right, Alex, what did you like?
Let's see. I honestly, I kind of like the fact that this was a story where we were following a bunch of shitty people. Because you don't really get that too often, where you could argue the twist is that they learn nothing. This is just a bunch of rich assholes who stay rich assholes. Like, in the sense that, like, you would expect, Lindy is a focus character. Clearly she's going to have like an arc or something, but she doesn't. And I can guarantee that probably would have bugged some people, but for me, I was like, no, that was actually made it more interesting.
Actually, if anything, she's had a reverse plot improvement. She gets worse as the episode goes on.
She's like the anti-companion. So a companion you would expect to do like all the stuff Ricky Sunday is doing, right? Like, or or a typical quasi companion. So a character who's like a companion but doesn't actually become one would be someone like Ricky Sunday, where they're like, they're less shallow than the people around them, and they're going to go out of their way and help people, and make a sacrifice. Often those characters die at the end of the episode. Lindy is the opposite of that. She's classical narcissist. She the only thing she cares about is whether something spells out a good or a bad outcome for her. She sacrifices her crush. She is in no way interested in becoming a better person.
He even points out that thousands of people are dying, and you're saying this is the best day of your life, and she's just
right.
Oh, yeah.
And even like, oh god, I had something and then I kind of lost it. Wow, what was the point I was gonna make? Oh, that's right. Like, effectively, this is kind of a better. I mean, it's a different thing that it's trying to get across, but I kind of like this on a twist of this is what a companion isn't, versus like,
Mic off.
I'm blanking on the episode title, but Adam from series
The
1.
Long Game.
Long Game.
Yeah. Long Game. That's it. Yeah. Like, because that was very, here's what a companion doesn't do. But that felt more like praising Rose than making Adam like an actual shitty person. So this was like, here's someone who would absolutely never be a companion because they're just a selfish asshole. On top of being like super racist and all this other stuff and very self-serving. So it's like, yeah, it's just like generally that whole thing made this way more interesting than it probably otherwise would have been if like they had all learned to not be shitty people. Like, while that would have been kind of nice, I don't know. And in a way, it's kind of makes it more realistic. Like, yeah, they're not gonna just suddenly become good people because of one bad situation they were put in. Like, that takes time.
True, yeah, that takes usually multiple events throughout a period of a person's life to actually learn empathy for people that you were previously apathetic toward.
Mic on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to avoid tangenting, I'll hand it off.
All right. So that brings us to Aaron.
All right. What I liked about the episode was just kind of the feeling of agoraphobia that you get from people, even though they're out and about, but just having the bubbles on their head is, I think, a form of agoraphobia, where you can't stand to be out in the outside world. You don't remember how to walk and everything, or I imagine, because people who are kind of enclosed in small areas kind of are used to walking short distances and stuff they've found, I thought, right? Just kind of that paranoia and that, like, oh shit, what do I do? I'm so helpless. I really like that, how that feeling came through in this episode. And I really kind of empathized with Lindy for a bit until she was, like, being a little shit about everything. So, like, I'm sorry, like, the whole, I'm not a child, that type of deal.
Yeah, I can, parts of what you said reminded me of, like, post-COVID, when we had, we had been so used to not doing certain things or not going certain places, and now then we had to go back to navigating the world on our own. And like, I still have not been going into grocery stores, partially because I don't have a car, but partially because every time I've gone into a grocery store post-COVID, I almost have a panic attack from just the amount of bodies and people talking permeating every inch of the place.
Yeah.
Which I guess that kind of gets off topic from what you were talking about, but it felt connected in some way in my mind.
I can definitely see that. Like, I didn't have to deal with that so much because I still had to go into the factory regardless. We certainly had people, in there with COVID. We also had pregnant ladies working right next to those people, too, so.
Oh, great.
Yep. Meanwhile, our HR person got to sit at home and do their remote stuff, but that's beyond. But also, is it really? That sense of entitlement, like, hey, you get to, work remote and all that stuff. I kind of feel like there was some sense of entitlement from some people who got to work. But
Okay.
like, yeah, I don't know, like getting back to the agoraphobia type thing, just the fear of the outside world and the nurturing and the praising and the sugarcoating, like you said. Yeah, that was, I thought, came across really well in the social media, and just having your head literally in a bubble. So yeah, that's what I thought anyway.
So we've gotten to me, and nobody's talked about the elephant in the room. So what I'll say is, this episode is, all of my criticisms of Rosa are addressed by this episode. To the point where, even as a prejudice researcher, I did not notice the racial undertones because I sort of explained them all in different ways, except for a few scenes that didn't make sense. And then somebody pointed out to me, no, there was a racial thing going on
That's what I thought. Anyway.
It's clicked, and
So
every
we've
got
fit,
me, and
and
nobody's
that's really what racism in the modern day is. It's like, yes, you have your people who are like the antagonist in Rosa, who are willing to, go and put on a red hat or a white hood and be like, all brown people should be kicked out of the country. But there's a lot more of what you see. And even here, actually, they're being kind of explicit about it. It's just that the audience isn't from the same culture and doesn't get it. But that's a lot of what modern racism is that, like, you'll have people who, if you're in the know, you get what they're saying, and if you're not part of their group, it kind of goes over your head, right? That's where the term dog whistle comes from, because unless you're part of this culture of wanting to exclude people, you're not going to pick up on these hints. And so once you see that, and you get the conversations coming from this about how, when did you notice that there was, a racial segregation system going on here? When did you notice that everybody was white? They're really interesting conversations to be having. And those are the sort of conversations that an episode about racism really should be causing. Because saying, "Oh yeah, well, my HR person doesn't call me the N-word, so obviously my company is fully inclusive," is a super simplistic, super childish way of looking at racism. Whereas looking for these subtle things that mark that certain people are not welcome, that's what inclusivity work in the modern age is actually about. And I'm not saying, and I don't think RTD was saying this in interviews when he talked about it either, I'm by no means would I say that if you miss the racial undertones, that means that you're white supremacist or believe that everyone should be white, because there's a lot of ways to miss them. But the point is, how did you react when you found out, or what sort of thought processes you have about it, and the conversations that spring from it, I think, is the important part.
Well, actually, we're gonna go right into things we didn't like. Yes.
Yep.
And that kind of actually springboards off of yours, actually, because my reaction was I missed any kind of context like that because I was too busy watching the episode going, why is the doctor trying to help a bunch of annoying little children?
I mean, you could say that about
More
any time he tries
importantly,
to save
annoying rich
Yeah.
children.
So you think he should have just left them all to die and never showed up?
It boggles my mind that he kept trying, but I understand at the same time that the doctor is very much supposed to be held to the standard that he tries to save everyone he can, even if he doesn't see eye to eye with them. That was honestly things that's happened even in modern Who. Voyage of the Dam comes to mind. One of the people he managed to save was the sleazeball, and you literally get that look of disappointment. And this is like a much more extreme case of it. But I was sitting here going, you didn't realize something very disappointing about them was going to happen one way or another? I mean, I didn't expect it to go as extreme as it did, but at the same time, I'm sitting here going, this is a commune of a bunch of rich kids that barely even stand one another, much less would care about anybody on the outside. I'm not sure. Again, I understand him trying to save people, and I'm sure there would have been a lot of people very easily at the beginning, maybe. What's his name? The crush that she
Ricky
has.
Sunday.
Ricky.
Wait. No, not Sunday.
No.
Ricky October, September. I don't know.
September. I believe it's Ricky September.
Either way, Ricky seems like the one of the few choice people that actually seems to like not be completely up their own backside. He even literally talks about how he turns off his thing and likes to read and do these other things and actually can walk on his own.
And that's the thing. In any other Doctor Who story, the Doctor would have at least saved him and possibly even made him into a companion.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But he happened to have bad luck. He happened to find himself working with somebody who was willing to, absolutely sacrifice his life, and he didn't make it to the Doctor.
But yeah, it's just it kind of did keep rubbing me the wrong way that I'm sitting here going, wow, this character is really unlikable. I can't think of her name right now. The main character.
Lindy.
Lindy.
Yeah.
Lindy is like extremely unlikable a lot of time, and she even scolds the Doctor at one point for supposedly talking down to her, and I'm like, he kind of has to because you're not listening. He literally has to
Mic
sugarcoat
on.
for you because you can't stand what you literally have to do right now if you're going to survive. It's a thing. And while again, it doesn't completely rub me wrong the entire time because again, we're doing this as a character thing, etc., and a bit of a study. But at the same time, it very much does once in a while smack, especially when she literally can't walk straight forward, and I'm like, why are we trying to save these people?
Well,
Very tongue in cheekly, darkly, very quickly went. Okay, I think we're a lost cause. Let's move on to the next one.
well, speaking of lost causes, I mean, there's no point in saving them because they all are going to die anyway out in the forest.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Well,
is
that wasn't the Doctor's plan, right? He planned
Yeah.
to take them in the TARDIS and find a safe
but because they're
planet, and
such
they were
stubborn, pig-headed, stupid, annoying little brats, they're just gonna wander out into the forest and get mauled instead. And that's when the tiger ate them. Good night.
all right.
But
Alex,
yeah,
what's your least? Or
yeah,
sorry,
it
if you
rubbed
had
me the
more.
wrong. But I just wanted to finish. Yeah,
Mic
that was
off.
just the way a lot of these characters were kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and that's the occasionally popped me out of it.
Gotcha.
There.
So you do not like unlikable protagonists.
I kind of like them if they weren't like so. Again, like the whole scene where she literally can't even walk straight. It's like, are we sure this isn't already a lost cause? It just. But yeah.
All right. Alex, what did you dislike about the episode?
You know, in a way, I probably wouldn't necessarily go as far as someone that brought it to my attention went. But I never really did think about it after watching it the first time through. But yeah, like the whole thing is the whole like them walking into slugs and all that and blah blah blah. And where the slugs come from was never entirely explained. But
Oh, they said they were.
then
Well, they said they were probably created. They didn't say
yeah,
for sure.
and then right, but then like the dot can just kill them anyway. So it's like, well, why did we need the slugs for? It's like in hindsight, it's like, well, it could have just been people randomly dying.
Mic on.
And then they figure out, oh, it's that the dots are,
it
headshotting
could have
them.
made them forget to pee because apparently they don't notice when they need to pee. Unless
They need a digital doctor there.
unless they get a notification on their phone screen.
It could have made them forget to eat or even drink. It could have
True.
it could have simply electrocuted them.
Yeah. Like, there's any number of other things they could do. So it felt like, well, we need to have a monster in this. So we'll do the slugs. When it's like, now that you've introduced the element of, no, these can actually just kill them anyway, it's like... What?
It occurs to me that for some reason the dots are maybe trying to disguise the fact that they're the ones doing it, but I again don't understand what
Maybe,
the
yeah.
purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
What?
there's some sort of like big hive AI mind behind it.
Right.
In which case, these are the little floating Terminators.
Yeah, why not
They're
just
again trying to use the slugs as their cybernetic skin.
why not just take everybody out at once instead of slowly via slug?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because we got a
I can kind of
list.
understand that. I can kind of understand that the way a computer would think is the only way to know you've gotten them all is if you go in alphabetical order, or
Yeah.
I mean, order by like social security number would make more sense, but that would be a lot harder to portray in an episode.
Yeah.
Like they would just probably never figure it out until everyone died. Well, that's a very U.S. way of thinking about it, because I guess your various IDs are not necessarily as universal in other places as they are in the way the U.S. uses them.
Yeah, like as much as I bring that up, and it is very like, well, wait, yeah, why did we need the slugs? At the same time, it's still more of a nitpick because I kind of still get like the visual reason we have them, because it's like, they're being killed by these incredibly slow moving creatures because they're paying that little attention to the world around them. So I kind of get that, but it is also like, well, yeah, you probably could have just saved money, and not had the slugs.
The digital budget for this episode is out of control.
Although without the slugs as a meta reason, without the slugs we never would have known that it was the AI that wiped out the home world. Because all we see is just a picture of the home world, a slug,
True.
and population 0. Which
Yeah.
make it kind of weird because it's set up as almost like a glamour shot. But yeah, if there was no slug, we would have been like, oh wow, everyone died. I wonder why.
Yeah, there's absolutely no indication that the AI itself was behind any of this. It's that it didn't come. I don't think it came out of nowhere. I think there were like maybe little hints, but like usually with shows like this, you hear about the AI like sending surreptitious messages to itself or making odd comments. But
yeah, the AI here, it doesn't even have a voice, which is a very it's a very interesting choice to make. Because I mean, if you even like, our phones talk to us and tell us to turn left. I mean, well, there was the turn left voice. But that was really, and that even like it gave every indication of it never intentionally steered Lindy into danger. It always, I mean, well, actually, that's
It
because there
didn't
was the
have
one
to
time.
yet. She's
There
not
was the
yet
one
on
time
the
it kept
list.
saying go forward into the elevator. But it kind of
Yeah.
it was silent. It stopped while the doctor and Ruby were yelling. So yeah, it's you would think there'd be a little bit more of a sign that it was disgruntled. That was kind of a leap of logic that was made when that came up, and I don't know if that's going to come up in when we discuss scenes, but yeah, that's a good point. Was that your least favorite thing, or was that just a comment on Alex's?
I'm gonna say that's my least favorite thing because my least favorite things are just kind of bad. Other than the hate the main character, something that isn't even something I hated written down, and then the question of how did Lindy charge her bubble, which is more of a least favorite scene one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Yeah, I can actually explain the recharge thing, but we'll wait.
Okay. All right, so then we're already to me. And I kind of a lot of this falls under nitpicks separately, but I just in general I wish there was a little bit more world building. and I don't think it was strictly necessary for this story, but I know like Alex mentioned to me, and I think to the group chat as well, that this episode is shorter than the others, and that the ending uh, felt faster to some. I personally felt the ending was fine because we got the emotional payoff, and there was nothing really left to say unless you were going to do like a Chibnall style speech of the doctor explaining to the audience that racism is bad or that some people aren't going to want to be saved. And I'm thankful we did not get that. That was a bad thing about the Chibnall era that did not really need to be done. But I wish, for example, like we've got the Forbidden Forest. I forget what they actually called it, but I want to know what's so dangerous about it that the doctor is sure they're going to die, or is it literally just all these people have no survival skills? They literally don't know how to walk without falling into a river or walking into a tree.
The answer is yes.
So I wish we saw a little bit more of that. I wish, like they talked about, we work and then we party. Do they do that with the bubbles on? Like, I kind of wish we could see what one of those parties looked like, to really understand, what this place is, because it's very easy to accuse it of the place only functioning for long enough for this story to happen. And if you try to imagine it as a society, that it completely falls apart. I don't think we're to that point. But criticisms can be made, and they would be valid criticisms if we don't actually see how some of this stuff happens.
Well, for them
The
being,
homeworld, we know absolutely nothing about the homeworld, other than that it's
well,
it's
these
not
kids
part of
come
the
from rich
same.
families on the home world, yeah.
It's not part of the same social media system, but it still has the pissed off dots that killed everybody. Apparently, black people aren't allowed to be in the same room as white people. Possibly, and there's a lot of other apparently possibly things, but we don't actually see anything. And maybe that's just more of a we're trusting the audience to think about things on their own, and we don't need to spoon feed it to people, and that's fine. But I just think throughout everything, I wish there was just a little bit more world building. It's kind of each individual one would be too much of a nitpick. Kind of together, they kind of make a point.
Yeah. Like to that end, like
Mic on.
as much as I do like this episode, this does feel like another instance of, Russell, if you'd done like a first draft or like a couple drafts and then handed it off to someone else, so you weren't writing 6 out of 8 episodes, like that would have been nice.
I don't personally think this episode really suffers from that. I think it's really like, I think it's very intentionally written in a way that 73 yards did not feel. It feels like everything here is placed the way it's intended to be placed, and that the themes were in mind at some stage in the writing and revising process, which is really not the feeling I had at all with 73 yards. So,
well, yeah, I guess it means
I would say like an editor, and I mean, and typically, and I don't know, they don't really, they're not super open about this. I'd have to watch the episode credits. In the RTD1 era, Gary Russell edited most of Russell's scripts. I imagine there's somebody doing that now. But
Maybe.
Anyway,
favorite
scenes.
Actually, really quick
Go
before
ahead.
we go on to that, I've been trying to say this here. All I can think of is the whole. Was the doctor think they're gonna die so quickly? And on my brain right now, Aaron will get this. Lotro hobbits. For the rest of y'all, I have another simple word for y'all: lemmings.
Even though we know that was fake, I get your point.
Yes, it was faked, but also the video game lemmings.
Right.
No, Pop.
All right, Matt, what's your favorite scene?
Oh, favorite. Oh yeah, we're on the scenes. Okay, favorite scene. Actually, there was a couple of good ones. I'm just trying to decide which one. Oh, gosh, I keep forgetting his name.
Ricky September.
Ricky. The moment we actually get to see Ricky, that was actually genuinely one of the good moments. Like, not only do we have somebody who's competent, but he can actually competently guide our lemming main character through a field of these slug things and not get them killed. It was generally nice to see a little bit of competence out of these people for just a moment. Just a moment. Because, like I said, it's not even just her, but it's also her friend group too. A lot of them seemed like kind of incapable of being nothing but like social media heads.
Mhm.
Because they just seem to panic and then just going back to their normal lives. It's like, you're all gonna die. Okay.
Yeah, just having a character that, kind of can switch off of social media, and it may even have been saying something about, yeah, this is, the TikTok star, the lip syncer, the one that you would probably stereotype as, oh, this person's, probably like vapid and shallow and social media obsessed. And actually he's the least vapid, the least shallow, and the least social media obsessed of the entire city.
They're only social media obsessed on on their watch time for like a couple hours a day, and then the rest of the day they're just like sipping tea and relaxing,
Mhm.
reading a good book
Reading history, which I bet nobody else
on that
in
planet.
Fine something does.
No one else in that bubble does.
Fine Time, right? That was the name of the
Fine time,
bubble.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Alex, what's your favorite scene?
You know what? I am gonna. I'm not even sure if I would have necessarily gone with this before. There's one I almost went with, but I'm like, just in case someone else wants it, I'll leave that one. But um, the scene where Lindy turns on Ricky, because the first time through, that was like character consistency. Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, saving her own skin. Very in character choice to make. It was still a little surprising, but it was like,
I
you know what? That's character consistent.
You know what? I wish I had a good screenshot of his face at that time, because I don't even think he was surprised. Like he
Yeah.
pegged her for who she was pretty quick when she was like, "Oh, this is the best day of my life. I'm so lucky. All these
Mm-hmm.
good things keep happening to me." And he's just like,
Everyone's dying.
"Everyone you know and care about is being brutally
Right.
murdered." And she's like, "Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm okay."
Yeah.
I
Like,
And then
think I
that
think
look of, you piece of
yeah.
work, I
I
should have
think he
known.
fully
Yeah.
understood. I mean, I
Yeah.
think he's, I think, and I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into like the 5 seconds before he dies, but like I
No,
got
he
the
had a
impression that
pretty
he was
solid
just
look on
like,
his face. Yeah.
yeah, that
Mhm.
he's, he's here to, help people get out, and he would be the one who would go back and help more people if he thought it would make a difference, the way she claimed he did. But
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, like he definitely had more of a "oh, for fuck's sake" look on his face
Mm.
rather than a "oh
Uh,
no, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal" kind of
Okay,
face.
how
so
could you? Yeah, he was very
so
much
yeah,
more
so
of a,
that's why I
oh,
wish I had a
you piece
screenshot,
of
because
work.
I thought I saw more of a like disappointed but not surprised face.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what
Like,
we're
he was a
saying.
lot more.
It's a
Yeah,
disappointment, but not like outraged. Just very much a quiet. I should have seen this coming.
yeah. Like, resigning himself to his fate kind of a
Mm.
thing, but also being like,
Like,
"Oh, god
almost like
damn it."
at least one of us is gonna get out of here.
Because like originally he had basically been like he was kind of putting himself in harm's way anyway, but it's less a face of like, wait, what, and more, oh god damn it.
Let us know in the comments. Do you think he was pissed at her, or do you think he just kind of took it in stride? Let us know in the comments.
I think it's both.
Next is Aaron, but first, I'm pissed at myself for getting this far before remembering to ask about it. What the voice that keeps telling not us on the Discord call, but the people on Twitch and YouTube, mic on and mic off. Has that voice been redirected or silenced?
Huh?
Well, it's something from whenever Aaron has been doing the tech, that there's a mic on, mic off.
Oh, that's my
repeatedly
mic.
throughout
Oh, it's
it.
picking up
And
this?
we
Here,
can't
hang
hear
on.
it on Discord, but only Twitch
Mic
and
off.
YouTube could. So I
Mic
commented
on.
on all the YouTube videos to kind of, let people know we were aware of it and apologize for it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize that was actually being picked up. I guess
mentioned it once in our group chat, but I guess you must have missed it.
Oh, yeah. Like that's actually me flipping up my mic. I didn't realize that voice was being picked up then.
So that probably was happening all throughout this podcast today.
Yeah,
too.
pretty much. Yep. I didn't realize that.
So that's
that's
something next time we stream to keep in mind.
Yeah. Like usually because like if I need to take a drink or something like that, or if I need to go up and like get the cat out of something like that, I usually mute my mic so that people can't hear me.
Yeah.
Slurping away or just like moving around.
So if you can either stop Twitch from pick up, I'm guessing OBS from picking that up.
No,
or
it's
if there's
like
another
literally
way
her
that
microphone.
you can mute your mic.
Yeah,
with.
it's
just
literally
I know,
my
but
microphone.
it's like Discord's not picking it up, so it's only certain channels. So
and I don't know what it would be on OBS then. I don't know how to stop that.
Or if there's another way to turn the mic itself off that doesn't cause that to happen.
Let me see.
Like I don't know if like maybe muting in Discord instead of
Oh yeah, that's true. I
instead
could
of with the
probably
mic
do that.
or something. So just just something to be aware of, But I didn't mean to take us on a tangent. I'm just pissed at myself that I forgot until an hour and a half into the podcast to bring it up.
It's weird because I'm not sure if I can even turn that off in my devices. Oh well. Anyway,
like
before I mess
to the device, but anyway.
Yeah, before I mess something up, I will try to keep that in mind then.
Okay. All right. So your favorite scene, Aaron?
My favorite scene is Gothic Paul being eaten.
No.
Just the shock on everyone's face, and they're still shouting and yelling in chat instead of like going, "Oh shit, I'm out of here." I don't want one of these things eating me while I'm inside the bubble. Like they don't put two and two together. Like, oh, these things are eating people who are distracted by the bubble and all that. So.
It's also kind of funny because like he's been trying to warn everyone that people are going missing the whole time, but then when Lindy brings up the people being eaten, Paul's just like, I wouldn't go that far. It's like it's not like some big, and then immediately gets eaten.
Yeah. All right. So my favorite scene. I feel like errands tend to pop up and go more quickly than I'm prepared for, but also just because when I rewatched the episode, I was like rushing to do the news and everything at the same time. So, my favorite scene. I think I'm gonna go with the scene where like she finally lowers the bubble and looks around. One, because I wasn't sure if that was ever going to happen, so it's kind of a form of character growth, and I just think the I just think the scene was really well done too. Like, they you can feel the tension. And there's all these different like directorial things so that she's like looking through between the cracks and everything. Oh yeah, she doesn't even lower it. So that moment doesn't actually happen. She's looking through it. And then
Actually,
she
she
looks
looks through
through
it
it
at
and
first,
then
and then she
lowers
lowers it
it.
later.
yeah, that's right. And then she's like, I can't walk, so I need to turn it back on. And Ruby is just dumbfounded. But yeah,
I'm with Ruby.
the actual moment in the office, I thought it was just really well done. Like, and I think that's been kind of a theme of my feedback this season is that the directing, the production, all of these, it's very cinematic, very on point. Um, I know that Alex has had some complaints about green screen issues, um, but I think there's been a lot of really, really cinematic perspectives this season, and I think that scene was an example of one of those. All right, least favorite scene, Matt.
Oh, least favorite scene, other than the elephant in the room. But I mean, that's the least favorite scene just because they suddenly showed their true colors, and it's like, oh, F all ya.
So which part? Because that are you
The end
counting
part.
are you counting the whole end conversation as one scene or one specific part of it?
Basically, the end conversation with them before they leave.
So
would be a scene, is my opinion.
everything that happens from when Lindy walks out and sees the doctor all the way to the end, altogether.
More or less. Because that's one. It's literally one dialogue scene, one long one, technically, but still one scene. But again, outside of the elephant in the room one, again, that's just being frustrated at the characters for being scummy characters. Least favorite, like something that bothered me or like something that took me out of it. Well, I guess I have to say it because it's the one that immediately took me out of the episode for a minute. Is gosh, again, I can't remember their names. Lead girl.
Lindy.
Lindy. She lowers the bubble. She literally she has to do is walk sideways and walk forward and get the heck out of Dodge. Immediately she takes one step forward and immediately starts turning. It's like, what? What's going on? Does it again. What are you? Does it again. Are you for real? Sits back down, puts on the freaking bubble again, and goes, I can't walk.
Okay, so not the ending. You're going with the.
I'm going with that one because that was the scene
walk.
that took me out of the episode entirely and just made me go, are you effing kidding me? Which, again, is almost exactly Ruby's reaction, too. It's like, yes, that reaction. Are you kidding me? Just so frustrated. And it's like, yeah, I think we need to move on to a new main character. Freaking Ash from the first 2 Evil Dead movies has more survival instincts. This man gets tossed across the room into every single bookshelf from the first movie and just keeps going, oh, we're going to get out of here fine, while feeding his dead friend a glass of water. Anyway.
That one, I haven't seen to quite that extreme, obviously. But
I know it might not affect everyone the same way, but it affected me real hard. And like, oh.
I've definitely seen people like, Google Maps says to go straight. And I'm like, yeah, but it's faster. Like, you can take a left. I know the way. You can turn off Google Maps. No, we can't get there without the Google Maps.
Let alone walking into poles. Several times over.
Yeah, the walking into the same pole multiple times. I think that's worse than the one where she trips on the desk and has a panic attack. But
Mm.
She doesn't trip on
anyway,
the desk. She literally walks into it.
Oh, she also
Because she
walks into
apparently
the
can't go
same
in a
pole several
straight
times.
line. Even though she does it every day.
all right,
Uh,
Alex, least favorite. Oh, sure.
I was just going to say, in the words of Lex Luthor, how does this mind come up with enough molecules to rub together to make those feet move? As he's talking about Otis. Anywho.
Yep. Alex, least favorite scene.
I think I'm gonna go with in a very specific kind of a nitpicky way, because this affected me more in a wait, what kind of a way the first time through rather than the second time through. So it's more nitpicky. But kind of like the closing minute. Because it kind of feels like.
So that's after they go off on the raft when it's just the Doctor and Ruby? Or
Like
before
effectively that like it isn't just like, and maybe this is just me, but I would have had the Doctor do his little like the audacity of these bitches and then raging and then just have him storm into the TARDIS, slam the door and leave. But because we kept lingering back and forth between the boat leaving and him going to the TARDIS, the first time through, that made me think, oh, well, the episode's clearly not over yet because we're lingering on things. And this feels more like a something else is going to happen kind of lingering rather than emphasizing a point lingering. So when it ended, when I heard the closing music start, I'm like, wait, what? That's it?
Yep.
There should be
They're
another
off to
10
go
minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just, and again, like, it got thrown off because I got a bit conditioned that episodes lately have been closer to 50 minutes. This was about, like, bog standard New Who length prior to the Chibnall era of, like, closer to somewhere between 41 and 42 minutes or
I was
thereabouts.
gonna say 42, which is also the name of an episode.
So that kind of threw me off because I was expecting the episode to keep going. It's like, again, it's never because like it works better the second time through, but the first time through it's just like, wait, there feels like there should be a little more here. And again, it's only because they like linger on the Doctor's reaction to them going and them leaving. I kept thinking, is there going to be a twist? And it turns out that like this whole time Lindy's been in on it, or like
That's
what?
kind of what I thought too. I'm like, oh, she's like one of the people controlling all this stuff. Like I thought it was originally going to be a population experiment.
I wonder if that was to give a chance for the conversation right before that to sink in. Because right before that is the conversations where there is the "you're not one of us," you know, I forget, like, contaminated comment, you know, those sort of things where you're sort of, you know, to kind of sink in what they just said,
right,
and what it means, before the music starts playing. I wonder if that was what the lingering was intended to do.
There's also those
Because you're
comments.
kind of lingering on like the Doctor looking at Lindy, like kind of pleading with his eyes for her to turn around, and she just like looks at him with these like dead eyes.
Yeah, like again, it hits a bit better the second time through, but yeah, the first time it just felt like we're lingering because something else is going to happen rather than again, like lingering to make a point or let the point sink in.
No, we're
So
lingering for drama.
Yeah, and there's that
Nothing
comment.
good is coming out of this anymore.
There's that comment that comes off almost like Manifest Destiny, where they're destined to settle the wildlands and stuff. And I think that's also kind of what the Doctor was hoping to avoid. He didn't want people interfering with the natural wilderness around here. Maybe, too.
Maybe. I mean, he definitely seemed to think they
Possibly.
would not be safe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The other comment was the maintain the standards of fine time. That was one, because that was that one before I understood
Ordained
what
by
was,
God to.
Yeah.
before I understood what they were saying.
Not
That
me.
really threw me off, because I'm like, the standards of luxury, because that's not going to happen. But no, they're talking about like the standards of like racial purity or whatever they've got going on. Okay. Aaron, what's your least favorite scene?
Oh man, I almost forgot to think of one. I think I'm trying to think of anything that's like technically not good, and I can't really think on technical issue, and I don't think on a story issue. The only thing I can think of is just Lindy going through her social media feeds with everyone just praising her and being super fake and shit. Not that those.
That's Instagram.
Yep, basically it was the first few minutes were basically Instagram, which is what the story is about. So it's not really that it was technically not proficient or poorly written or anything like that. It was just on the level of social media and the commentary that the show was making. It's just, yeah, it's, I hate these people already, basically, which is what kind of what it was supposed to do anyway.
Yeah,
it
fair.
was, but then we were forced to linger with them.
Yeah. So that's mine anyway.
I would have liked the light-hearted humor take of we just keep trying to save them and every one of them just gets offed. Anywho.
So, and actually, that's where more world building could have been done if they tried to actually specifically save a few people and failed. That would have been an interesting shot for world building. But I mean, it would have made. I mean, and I don't think we need to inflate the episode just to make it as long as the others. So that's just kind of a possibility, but not really a necessity. But I'm going to say my least favorite scene is actually when Gothic Paul gets eaten for a very specific reason. And this happens again later on in the episode, but this is the first time. The fact that you can see the slugs on the Zoom window, Skype window, whatever you want to call it, it seems like that shouldn't be the case. It seems like that they should be just ending the connection before that. Because otherwise, you'd think somebody, I mean, granted, yes, these are all a bunch of very dumb, social media addicted, rich kids. But you'd think at least one of them would have been observant enough to say, hey, I keep noticing slugs eating people, when I'm looking at my screen. So,
again, we have to remind you again, Bill, that also at the same time, about a dozen people saw that and were panicking, and like 5 minutes later, they're just back to work.
But yeah, that. So it's a very small thing, but that's my least favorite. Time for final thoughts, and we're 6 minutes away from the 2-hour mark, so let's try to keep them quick.
Alrighty. Final thoughts. I like some of the messaging in this episode. It was some thoughtful stuff in there. However, it's undermined by my absolute distaste for the characters early on already. And I just keep questioning from then on, why are we still following them? It's literally like trying to make the main focus of a Friday the 13th movie the victims, that we are literally sitting here constantly chanting, "Get him, Jason. Get him." and having them be the only main character in the movie. Other than that, it could have been really good. It's just would have tweaked that maybe. I don't know. It just kind of does drag it down a little bit for me because it kept taking me out of it for a while. But that's my thoughts. On to the next.
All right, Alex.
I enjoyed this episode a hell of a lot more than 73 yards. 73 yards I was picking apart a lot. There were like little things here and there that could have used tweaking, but overall I enjoyed it. It was kind of funny that I think I'm the only person I know who has made Jetsons jokes about this because they complain about having to work for 2 hours a day and, technology is basically doing everything for them. So at least to me, as much as Russell was like, hey, look, we're doing a Black Mirror episode. Having not seen that, the only thing that came to mind was the Jetsons because of the level of tech. And a bunch of lazy rich people this level of entitled came off like very early Jetson stuff where it was very on the nose. But yeah, like this is a kind of episode that I feel like should happen more often than it does, in that it is very rare, but not like I wouldn't want this all the time, but like one like every like once in a blue moon, but like slightly more frequently, where like no, it turns out everyone's the asshole in this case. Because for all we know, as much as Ricky was an intellectual compared to everyone else, that could have just meant that he was slightly less bigoted rather than
Right.
Fair.
like not bigoted at all. We just never get the chance to see that. Which, could intentionally be a thing on purpose to make you think about that.
That's more likely than the alternative, yeah.
So that would have been like, while it would have been interesting to see, it's kind of more fun to speculate that because that was left up in the air. But yeah, like solid episode. Definitely one of my favorites thus far. That's it for me.
Right, Aaron.
All right. I also enjoyed it. I did not see the twist coming at the end. And I think it was pretty well hidden with maybe very few breadcrumbs to kind of hint at it. But I guess, I don't know. I don't even know if you'd know how to look for it. I don't really think of many bad things other than the whole why use slugs? Why don't they just instantly kill everybody? They could have easily have done that instead, unless they wanted people to suffer slowly. So that could be a thing. The AI hated them so much it wanted them to suffer as slowly as possible. Which there you go. Nothing worse than that kind of creeping death. Yeah. I enjoy kind of the despair, like just like the absolute treachery we see some of these people we see on display in these people like Lindy. Yeah, they're very thoroughly unlikable people, but I don't think they're supposed to be likable. I think you're supposed to be I don't know if you I think the show is challenging you to be like, do you really want to see these people dead? And if you do, do you consider yourself a good person, or are you any better than them? So it's just like, well, yeah, I want to see these people dead, but I'm a good person. Stop it. Stop making me question myself. So, yeah. I mean, it's really, I thought it was really good. Would recommend. That's it for me.
All right. So I really think it's interesting that this is the first episode Ncuti Gatwa filmed, because he's acting his ass off in the scenes he's in. Other than the fact that it's a mostly Dr. Light episode. Overall, I think this was a very well done episode. I agree that the characters are not meant to be likable, and that might be why it's a shorter one. They might have just not wanted to drag out our time with Lindy any more than necessary. But yeah, I think it was a good episode, and I'm sure there are other things I have to say, but we're running late, and we've said enough. On to ratings, starting with Matt.
Alrighty. This was I've been arguing myself for like the last 5 minutes or so because this could have easily been much lower. But I'm willing to forgive and understand why the atrocious people that kept bringing me out of the episode were the way they were and give this about a 4, but it's very close to a 3.5.
4.0. Alex.
Much as I super enjoy this, I feel like it's just potentially either this is one of those ones where like I'll give it a certain score now and then I'll come back to it later and maybe it'll go up. But as it stands right now, I don't think I can necessarily, in my own mind, justify giving it full marks. So the highest I can go is 4.5.
4.5, Aaron.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it. I was going to give it a 4.5. I think I'm going to drop it a little bit lower to a 4.0, just because of that. That does really make me wonder why we have slugs. Why not just electrocute everybody right away?
The slugs. The slug question. I just can't get off the slug question.
I've been going back and forth between 4.5 and 5 for this entire time. I think that my complaints are minimal enough that I think it can just barely round up to a 5.0. That gives us an average of 4.38. So out of 474 things reviewed, that places this at number 110. It is on par with The Husbands of River Song, The Sontaran Stratagem Poison Sky, Terror of the Zygons, The War Games, The Dominators, Snake Dance, Revolution of the Daleks, and The Power of the Doctor. It is better than The Three Doctors, Nightmare in Silver, The Ice Warriors, Web of Fear, and it is not as good as Father's Day, The Edge of Destruction, Face the Raven, The Haunting of the Villa Diodati, The Time Warrior, Partners in Crime, Rise of the Cybermen Age of Steel, and The 11th Hour. So, real quickly, one prediction per person of the next episode of the rest of the season, or pass if you don't think of anything. Matt.
Honestly, I don't really have any predictions for the next episode. I just know it's a historical with aliens in it.
Okay. Alex.
I do feel like Susan Twist might, like, the whole running thing with her might turn out to be like an intentional red herring of some kind. Like, I think I've even seen someone speculate that she might be a universal aspect of the red herring, which would be quite funny if that was true. But yeah, it would be interesting if it was that, and like Mrs. Flood comes back properly to be the actual primary antagonist. We'll see.
Okay. So we've
My
got
God.
me, and nobody's talked about the elephant in the room. So what I'll say is,
Aaron?
Oh, sorry. Predictions for next one. I think that we're going to find that the bird people are actually related to Silurians because the makeup just looks too I don't know, too perfect, I should say.
okay. I'm going to predict that Rogue is going to somehow tie into the whole sorry, Matt, the Timeless Child plot line, since Russell thinks that's important, which means it may tie into Division. All right. That is all we have to say about Dot and Bubble. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode. Don't forget to like this video if you've listened this far. Subscribe on YouTube to get our exports each week, or follow us on Twitch to get notified when we stream. Next time, we continue the new season with Rogue, written by Kate Herron and Brioni Redman, and starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. We'll see you then.
Are we good?